I want to share this blog here. So Dilbert, love Dilbert. Last night, I met a script supervisor. She works with directors to make sure a movie has the right continuity and one scene fits the next. It's a fascinating job. Hobnobbing with top directors, writers, and celebrities, no two assignments are the same. How do you get that kind of career? She earned a degree in anthropology and just fell into it through a series of events. I know the feeling. I majored in economics, got an MBA, worked at a bank and then a phone company, and then became a cartoonist. For every person who studies something specific, such as law or medicine, and actually ended up in that sort of career, I think there are 5 who let chance pick their careers. That works out more often than you'd think, but you can't recommend it as a career strategy. Instead, I recommend a general formula for success. Allow me to explain. If you want an average, successful life, it doesn't take much planning. Just stay out of trouble, go to school, and apply for jobs you might like. But if you want something extraordinary, you have 2 paths. 1, become the best at one specific thing, or 2, become very good, top 25% at 2 or more things. So this is the Michael Jordan strategy, and this is the Dilbert strategy. All right. The first strategy is difficult to the point of near impossibility. Few people will ever play in the NBA or make a platinum album. I don't recommend anyone even try. This is such an interesting thing. I love how solid he is in what he says. He's like very decisive. The second strategy is fairly easy. Everyone has at least a few areas in which they could be the top 25% with some effort. In my case, I can draw better than most people, but I'm hardly an artist. I relate to this sentence so much. And I'm not any funnier than the average stand-up comedian who never makes it big, but I am funnier than most people. The magic is that few people can draw well and write jokes. It's the combination of the two that makes what I do so rare. And when you add in my business background, suddenly I had a topic that few cartoonists could hope to understand without living it. I always advise younger people to become good public speakers, at least 25%. Public speaking was one of the first things that I had to really get a grasp on. I had huge anxiety around it as a kid. I did musicals and plays in order to overcome that fear. And I even joined a band when I was younger. I got to tell you, the amount of fear I had singing my own songs on stage, especially because I have a terrible memory and would forget my own lyrics, was incredibly high. I would literally take shots just to get up on stage. And I don't drink anymore, so I'm able to do all that stuff without booze these days. But gosh, when I was, 21, 22, it was almost a necessity. But I knew I needed to become a good public speaker because you can't just be the shy person in the room all the time. You have to be able to stand out and be able to, in the shyness, once I got comfortable on stage, I got comfortable one-on-one too. Anyone can do it with practice. If you add that talent to any other, suddenly you're the boss of people who have only one skill. I actually have a friend. He is a web developer, and he's a great web developer. He works at Comcast, but he's a web developer who can also give a killer presentation, which is rare in web developers. So when he gave a killer presentation a few months back, his boss came to him and said, "Holy cow, that was amazing. You're incredibly good at not only doing the work, but explaining the work to a group. I think we are going to be putting you on the management track." And now he's going to be managing the web developers at some point, rather than just being one for the next dozen years. Or get a degree in business on top of your engineering degree, law degree, medical degree, science degree, or whatever. Suddenly you're in charge. So think about this. Let's say you become a dentist. They don't teach dentists how to run a business. They just teach them how to dent. So if you have a dentist degree and a business degree, your dental practice will be much stronger. If you have a law degree and a marketing degree, your practice will be more successful. If you have an engineering degree, and so on and so forth, right? Capitalism rewards things that are both rare and valuable. You make yourself rare by combining 2 or more pretty goods until no one else has your mix. I didn't spend much time with the script supervisor, but it was obvious that her verbal writing skills were in the top tier, as well as her people skills. I'm guessing she's also high attention to detail and perhaps a few other skills in the mix. Probably none of these skills are the best in the world, but together they make a strong package. Apparently, she's been in high demand for decades. At least one of the skills in your mixture should involve communication, either written or verbal. And it could be as simple as learning how to sell more effectively than 75% of the world. This is why we need to practice interviewing. This is why we need to practice our communication skills. Now, add that to whatever your passion is, and you have two, because that's the thing that you'll easily put enough effort into to reach the top 25%. If you have aptitude for a third skill, perhaps business or public speaking, develop that too. It sounds like generic advice, but you'd be hard pressed to find any successful person that didn't have about three skills that were in the top 25%. I think this article has completely changed my view of careers and my own career. The ability to sit around and say, am I the world's best career coach? I'm going to have a pretty hard time convincing everyone that I'm the world's best career coach. Because all you got to do is find someone that jives better with you, and suddenly they're the better career coach, right? I don't connect with everyone perfectly. Not everyone likes me. And that's just the state of the world. So competing on the best in one category is going to be pretty damn hard, especially when there's people 10 years my senior who've been doing this much longer. We can also make arguments about, knowledge of markets and how that changes, and it doesn't matter. So if I was just a career coach and I never made videos and I never did content and I never gave talks, well, first of all, I never would have become a career coach if I didn't try to start a podcast 6 years ago, because the podcast let me meet someone who worked at the Muse who invited me to be a coach on the platform. So my attempt at becoming a radio personality was what led me to actually becoming a career coach. I had the career coach skill and I was doing personal brand coaching, but if I never started the podcast, I never would have been given the job as a coach. If you don't know how to communicate what you do, you could be the world's best, you could be the world's biggest expert in an area. But if you never talk to anyone about it and you never explain it to anyone, you don't get very far. Who was it? Not Jane Austen. Who was Emily Dickinson? Emily Dickinson was a recluse. She stayed in her home and she wrote poems constantly, all day long. Her poems never got famous until after she died, and someone went into the room and went, holy cow, look at all these poems. She was an absolute expert, but she had no communication skills, so no one knew who she was until after she had passed. Maybe I've got that story wrong. Double check me if you want. But I'm pretty sure I remember that from AP Lit back in the day.